This is CJ Baker, and I came across this list by Rolling Stones of the 100 greatest punk albums of all time. So I figured it could be fun to do a live response video. So it looks like we got some hints here about who's included. So yeah, Patti Smith, Kathleen Hanna, Bikini Kill, Bad Brains, okay, picture Joey Ramone, so the Ramones. So yeah, a lot of acts that I would guess would be on there. So we'll just scroll down, we'll look at the list here. Okay, so the number 100 album, DRI, which I know means Dirty Rotten Imbecile. I'm only vaguely familiar with them. I've heard some of their stuff, but I've never listened to a full album. So that might be something I have to check out before I can pass judgment. Number 99, some Paramore, who I don't really consider punk, maybe punk adjacent. I guess there's a punk influence, but I also don't want to gatekeep. I don't have a strong opinion on. 98, The Faith and Void, Faith Void, which I know also made Kurt Cobain's 50 album list. So it's definitely had an influence on Kurt Cobain, so don't have an issue there. 97, Naked Raygun, Jettison. I am familiar with it. I know that Dave Grohl, yeah, it mentions that it was his first punk show. Never actually listened to the album for whatever reason, but so I'm gonna have to check that out. Let's see what we got next. 96. I do love this album, Refuse, The Shape of Punk to Come, and New Noise is an excellent song. That song just bangs. And I have like talked about on my website too. First shameless plug, ongoing history, protestsongs.com. But yeah, excellent album. Deserves a spot. 95 Downtown Boys for Communism. And I feature the Downtown Boys on my site as well. Not sure if I included it as like one of the 100 greatest albums, but yeah, it's a solid album. And I also like their 2017 album as well. So let's see what's next. 94 Red Cross. I don't feel we consider Red Cross punk, maybe more punk adjacent, but I also don't want to gatekeep, so whatever. 93 Idols. Yeah, I like Idols. Good album. And I actually prefer the album that came after this, Joy as an Act of Resistance. So I prefer that album, but this is a really good album. Don't have an issue, even though it's probably more post-punk. But once again, don't want to gatekeep. Sick of it all. Blood, Sweat, and No Tears. Actually, I haven't listened to this album, so can't really have an opinion. KL7, Smell the Magic. I do like this album. Decent album. Kind of I think they kind of came out just prior to Riot Girl, but kind of important, at least in helping to kind of influence that scene there. Okay, The Damned, just sort of one of the, yeah, very, very punk albums. And I think first punk band to release a single with New Rose. And I got a video for that too, which is one of the early punk videos. But yeah, it's a good album. The Damned, don't have a problem with that. Angry Samoans. I'm familiar with them. I've read some of the stuff, but I haven't listened to the whole album. 88 Social Distortion. I do like a lot of Social Distortion stuff. Don't have an issue there. 87 Negative Approach, Tied Down. Actually, I haven't listened to this album. 86 Jawbreaker, 24-Hour Revenge Therapy. Yeah, I do like this album. I like Jawbreaker. I guess the more emo, but yeah, punk adjacent. And I don't want to be, like I said, too gatekeepy. So no issue. Okay, very important proto punk album. The MC5's Kick Out the Jams. And then the title track, Kick Out the Jams, Mother Fudgers, but not Fudge. But yeah, very important proto punk album. Also featured on my website, ongoinghistoryofprotestsongs.com. Fright Rig, Cat Farm for Boo, not familiar with the album. Okay, Blink 182, Dude Ranch. Yeah, whatever. Very important, I guess. Pop punk band. Guess don't have a huge issue. Priest. Nothing Feel Natural. I have featured that on my website as well. It was one of my top protest albums of 2018. Really good album. I just don't know if I'd put it on my top 100. Let's see, 81, Discharge. Yeah, excellent album. A very important album in a number of different punk and sub-punk genres. And it was even also important and influential with metal genres as well. Like even like Metallica cite this as an influence, and there is thrash elements to it. But yeah, excellent album. No effects, punk and Drubick. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me to be at least one no effects album there. So no issue there. Yeah, Gnostic Front. Figured they would have at least one album. Yeah, I did listen to this when I did the 1984 dive. Yeah, no issue with it. Various artists, no New York. Haven't listened to this album. Crass, The Feeding of the 5000. I like the Crass. Very important arachno punk band. I also wrote a little bit of an article on my website. So let's see what we got next. Okay, Dead Boys, Young, Loud, and Snooty. And I also did an article on my website about the best punk albums from the 70s, and I featured this album. So yeah, very important album. Sonic Reducer, yeah, is a great song. Hated Fun's also a great song. Let's see what we got next. Okay, Blondie. Yeah, not really punk, but I guess I don't want to gatekeep. Whatever. Birthday Party, Junkyard. Yeah, it's featured Nick Cave. Yeah, decent album. No issues there. Meat Puppets too. I do love this album. Also kind of important in the development of like cowpunk as well. And then also notably a huge influence on Nirvana. And then the two Kirkwood brothers appeared on the MTV Unplugged, like the Nirvana MTV Unplugged. But yeah, I do really like that album. Various artists or the album, not familiar with. Okay, Slow Glow. I really like the Slow Glow album and feature that on my website. So yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if I include it. I might include in the top 100 greatest, probably more on the bottom end. But yeah, excellent album, no major issues. Okay, the Meekins. Yeah, they're kind of, I think they kind of have like the country influence, kind of sort of like cowpunk, I believe. Not overly familiar with the Meekins, haven't listened to that album. Uh, KSS, the Decontrol. Yeah, not really familiar with that album. Okay, Dead Kennedys, Fresh Fruit for Wild and Vegetables. I do love this album. It was one of my favorites when I did a 1980 deep dive. I think I had it my number two album, I believe. And Holiday in Cambodia is a fantastic song. So yeah, here we go. Dropkick Murphys, Do or Die. Dropkick Murphys. And I don't understand the problem with them having that album on there. Recording Celtic punk band. Okay, Suicide. Yeah, they're considered an important punk band, or maybe even post-punk. Might also kind of some of the stuff predates punk as well, but they actually are considered to be one of the first bands to use the term punk to advertise their music. Yeah, La Tigra, Catherine Hanna band. Like sort of more punk adjacent, but yeah, in this kind of, because I don't know if I wouldn't necessarily lump this. I guess sort of connects with Riot Girl, but Bikini Kill was more Riot Girl. Just takes the sound in a slightly different direction. So we got Stiff Little Fingers and Flammable Material. I do love this album. Excellent album. Okay, Screaming Females, Ugly. I do like Screaming Females. Not sure I put on my list of 100 albums, but I do like them. Okay, Fear, the record. Yeah, I do really like this album. Yeah, no issues there. Against Me, you don't have an issue there. Really excellent album. Okay, Flipper, Generic Flipper. Yeah, excellent album. Also a huge influence on Nirvana and Christmas Novoselic later joined the band. Okay, Ice Age, New Brigade, yeah, the Danish band. Yeah, I don't think I've actually listened to this album. I'm only vaguely familiar with that. Lilliput slash Kleenex, also a huge influence on Nirvana. Make the Cobain's album list. He basically said everything by the band. They basically initially they called themselves Kleenex, but had to change the name because of copyright reasons. 57, Gun Club, Fire Love. Yeah, I really enjoyed this album. Excellent album. Public Image Lit. Yeah, Johnny Rotten. I guess by this point he went by Johnny Lydon, which was his real name. Yeah, I'm suspected. Never mind the box is going to show up at some point. But yeah, I don't have an issue here. Operation Ivy, yeah, excellent album. Important in the development of like ska punk. And then this kind of members of this band would end up forming Rancid. And I love Rancid. We got next, the Cramps. Yeah, songs the Lord taught us. Oh yeah, and this was very important in the development of like Psychobilly. Don't have an issue there. Devo. Yeah, excellent album. Q, Are We Not Men? We Are Devo. And basically a whole concept behind the evolution. Very important satirical punk band. The Pogues, very important Celtic punk band. Sodomy and the Lash. Yeah, no issues there. Rancid already mentioned that. I love this album. It's like my favorite album of 1995. No issues there. Yeah, Circle Jerks, Group Sex. Listen to that when I did my 1980 deep dive. Yeah, really good album. Not a big issue there. Modern Levels, more punk adjacent, but not a huge problem there. Road, runner. Is this album the one with Pablo Picasso? Yeah, Pablo Picasso. Ooh, Team Dress. Yeah, I do really love this album. Important kind of like in queercore. We got next. The Fall. Yeah, I suspect there's going to at least be one Fall album. Don't necessarily a huge problem there. Yeah. It's feeble to tell. Except more punk adjacent, but yeah, we get album, don't necessarily a huge issue. Bad Religion, expect at least one Bad Religion album. This might be, yeah, I don't have a problem with that. The Slits, yeah, no problems there. We like this album. Typical Girl is a banging track. Johnny Thunders and the Heartbreakers. Yeah, no huge issues there. They kind of are very important in the development of punk. If we're looking at proto-punk, I'm suspecting the New York Dolls might show up. Mannequin Pussy. I like Mannequin Pussy. I probably wouldn't put them. This is definitely ranked probably a little bit too high, but don't have a huge problem. Rites of Spring, very important in the development of emo. Yeah, I still wouldn't say I have a huge issue there. The Ripos, yeah, kind of like proto grunge, had a huge influence on Nirvana. Don't necessarily have a huge problem there. Turnstile, Glow On. I guess they want to have some new albums, but I'm probably ranking this a little bit too high. 38, Ritual Hell and the Volvoids, Late Generation. Don't have a huge problem there. I did feature this on my list of the best punk albums of the 70s. The Jam, All Mod Cons. Yeah, I think I featured that on my list of the best punk albums of the 70s as well. Don't necessarily have a huge problem there. Okay, Bratmobile Potty Mouth, very important Riot Girl album. No huge issue there. The Misfits, yeah, kind of like, I guess you call it horrorcore. But yeah, this kind of featured Danzig. I like the Misfits. Don't necessarily have a huge problem there. Yeah, Where Eagles There. I do love that song. That song rocks. Various Sawdust, Wanna Buy a Bridge, not really familiar with. Velvet Underground, so kind of more proto-punk. But yeah, very influential, important album. Don't necessarily have a huge issue there. Big Black and Terminizer featured Steve Albini, rest in peace. Yeah, I don't really have a huge problem there. Joy Division, more proto-punk, not proto-punk, post-punk. But yeah, very influential band. influenced, also had influence on other alternative genres such as industrial, big influence on Nine Inch Nails, Fugazi. Okay, yeah, you gotta include Fugazi, no problem there. What we got next? Replacements. Yeah, I figured you'd have something about the Replacements. This one's not necessarily the best Replacement album, but it's probably the most punk. Uh, this kind of like the very hardcore phase, and it is a fun album, so I don't have necessarily a huge problem there. The Germs, GI, excellent album, no real issue there. Perubu, yeah, I figured yeah, they might have something on here. Don't know if I put on 27, but don't necessarily have a huge problem. Ramones, Rocket to Russia. I'm suspecting this is not going to be the only Ramones album, so I don't necessarily have a huge issue if there's going to be at least one other. But I love the Ramones. I actually did Ramones album ranking list with YouTuber Joe Opinionated, which you can find on his channel. Looks like I get a cold or something. I seem to be losing my voice. Might also didn't get much sleep, and I was going to bed, and then I stumbled upon this list, so I made a mistake. But yeah, love this album, love the Ramones, 5-star album. Raincoats, love the Raincoats. Also a huge influence on Nirvana and Kurt Cobain. And Kurt Cobain actually wrote the liner notes when they did the vinyl re-release of the album. Well, maybe not just vinyl, just the re-release period. Visions of Burma versus also a really good album. Not don't necessarily have a huge problem with that. The Descendants, yeah, very important in the development of pop punk and kind of other genres of punk. So kind of ahead of the time sound wise, but I do really love this album. Let's see what we got next. So Minor Threat, complete discography. So yeah, no problem with Minor Threat, very influential. And this was Ian Mackay's band before Fugazi. And they kind of also, like with the straight edge movement, very important there. Television, Marquee Moon, yeah, very important influential album. Don't necessarily have a problem there. Green Day Dookie, yeah, no problem there. They were kind of important in the development of like pop punk and kind of part of the 90s punk revival. So I think you had at least one Green Day album. Not sure if American Idiot will be on there or not. I'd probably put Dookie ahead of American Idiot. So maybe this is gonna be the only Green Day album. Okay, Bikini Kill, Reject All American. Yeah, I think you had to have at least one Bikini Kill album. Not sure if this is the one I would put on here, but don't have a huge issue. Okay, Buzzcocks, singles going steady. I'm not sure about putting compilations on there, but I guess whatever. Buzzcocks were actually kind of a proto pop punk band, very influential in the development of pop punk. Don't necessarily have a huge issue. Bad Brains, okay. Don't have a huge issue there. Very important hardcore band. Also influential on the Beastie Boys, who had kind of hardcore roots. Yeah, Gang of Four Entertainment, not a huge problem there. New York Dolls, I mentioned them earlier. Important proto punk band. Don't have a huge issue. Axe Los Angeles. Yeah, very important punk album. Very important in the Los Angeles punk scene. And they were heavily featured in that documentary, Decline of Western Civilization. Chaos Do. Yeah, Zen Arcade. Yeah, very important concept album. And by this point, they were kind of deviating from the punk roots, but they were almost being punk at that point by not being punk. So they kind of expanded the sound of punk. But I do love this album. It's like a 5-star album for me. Patti Smith, Horses. Yeah, like basically the godmother of punk and very important proto punk album. No issues there. Black Flag Damage. I do love this album. Very important hardcore album. No issues there. Yeah. Rise Above. Excellent kick-ass song as well. Okay, Class London Calling. Even though number 10, I'd probably rank it. I don't know. I wouldn't make it number one probably because That would probably be Ramone's self-titled, but I'd probably have it on my top 5. But yeah, no issues. But yeah, The Clash, love The Clash. But I'm surprised if this is the only Clash album. I think this has to be ranked as the best Clash album, but I'm surprised it's the only Clash album. Like no debut album by The Clash. That's a little bit surprising, unless another Clash album shows up. I guess we'll see what happens. At this point, every band's only had one album, so maybe they're limited to one album per band. Okay, I guess we'll see. Okay, 9, Nirvana, Nevermind. Don't have a huge issue, even though they might be not be punk in the traditional sense. They're very much kind of in that lineage, and Kurt Cobain is very much influenced by punk. And yeah, it even quotes Kurt Cobain as saying punk rock should mean freedom. And this is, I've talked about this a number of times in videos I did. Nirvana is basically the most important band in my personal development. And this is the most important album in my personal development. So I've mentioned before how Nirvana was basically a musical gateway drug for me. So let's scroll down a bit more. Okay, the Stooges Funhouse. Yeah, and I think this was is it Funhouse or Raw Power that appeared on Kurt Cobain's list? I think it was Funhouse. It made his 50 album list. But yeah, very important album, Portal Punk album. Okay, Sex Pistols, Nevermind the Bollocks. You knew that was gonna be somewhere up there. So yeah, no issue there. A Wild Pink Flag. Maybe ranked a bit high, but I don't have a huge issue. Kind of important in the development of like art punk. Yes, no huge issue. Okay, Sleater Kinney, Dig Me Out, kind of important like in Wild Girl. Maybe ranked slightly high, but I do love Sleater Kinney, very important, influential band, so I don't have a huge issue there. Okay, The Clash, they have a second Clash album. Okay, excellent. I would put London Calling above the debut, but I'm not mad at it. It's an excellent debut, and I love Right Right. We're gonna have a right. Okay, yeah, Minutemen, I love this album. Very important, influential concept album. I love the Minutemen. So yeah, I don't have a huge issue there. Even though I'd probably put London Calling above it, but that's only like I guess a minor qualm. So yeah, no problem with that. Okay, X-Ray Specs, Gym Free Adolescent. Very important album. Don't have a problem with being on the list. Not sure about being number 2. But yeah, not mad at it. So let's see, number 1. Okay, Ramones. Love that. It's one of my all-time favorite albums. And once again, I did the Ramones album ranking deep dive video on Joe Opinionated YouTube channel. And also on my own YouTube channel and on my website. Maybe one last shameless plug. I did article about Ramones protest songs. They don't always get enough credit about their protest songs. But yeah, I love that. Yeah, Blitzkrieg Bop. But yeah, I love every song on the album. So yeah, no issues there. So yeah, be good number 1. So that concludes the Rolling Stone list. So scrolling through the list, what do you think of Rolling Stone's picks? You can let me know in the comment. Let me know if there's any albums that make your personal list of favorite punk albums that you didn't see. And so yeah, you can let me know. I'm trying to think of what albums I would consider snubs. I mean, they had 2 Clash albums. I didn't have a problem with those 2 albums. Didn't have a problem with the 2 Ramon albums they picked. I would almost be tempted to include all 4, like the first 4 Ramon albums, because I have them all 5 stars. But I can understand they're just limited to a couple of albums per band. So off the top of my head, I can't think of any other oversights. Some albums I might have ranked a little bit higher on the list or a bit lower. But yeah, don't necessarily have a super huge problem. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you think of the Rolling Stones list. What albums would be on your personal list? And if you want me to keep making videos like this, please like and subscribe. And you can hit the notification button so you don't miss any future videos. And like I said, it's a very spur of the moment video, so if it's a little bit unpolished or I'm rambling, that is why. And like I said, I haven't got much sleep, so probably shouldn't be recording videos when I'm sleep deprived. So yeah, thanks for watching. Did I mention check out the website? Yeah, check one last shameless plug. They also have a list of Clash protest songs on the website as well. So thanks for watching and please, and the website. So one last shameless plug, ongoing history of protestsongs.com. And there's an article on the Clash, so on the Clash protest songs. So yeah, thanks for watching, and please stay safe.